So we're here today with Mary Rose Engle, and she is a minister, and she specializes in interfaith marriages.
Yeah.
And welcome to Rose Red and Lavender.
Thank you for having me here.
It's
I
my
love being here. It's a beautiful place.
Thank you. So, can you tell us a little bit of your background and how you got to where you are?
Yeah, okay, well, it's a long story, but I'll
Okay.
give you the short version. I used to be in corporate America. I was a project manager in IT working for the banks, and I was really burning out. But I've always really been interested in world religions. It was always one of my favorite subjects. So I knew I wanted to do something with that. I had studied and practiced Buddhism, Islam, was raised Catholic, and I knew I wanted to do something with that diversity. So discovered Interfaith ministry and signed up to go to seminary for 2 years.
Where did you go to seminary?
It's the Interfaith Seminary here in here at the time it was here in New York. Now it's in Maryland.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so when did this happen?
That was 2007. I signed up in 2007. I graduated in 2009. Yeah. And then
Right when the Great Recession started.
yes, right when the Great Recession started. So it was kind of fortuitous.
And so how do you find your clients?
Mostly word of mouth. I also advertise on Wedding Wire, and I have a page on the Knot, and as well as Yelp.
And about how many weddings do you do a year?
It depends how much effort I put into it.
Uh-huh.
When I really put in effort, I do about one a week. I've been going for my CPE to become a board certified chaplain. So that's been taking a lot of my time. So I haven't been dedicating as much time to weddings as I normally do. So not as many weddings.
So
it's a nice complement to doing weddings. It is, it's a nice balance. Is why I like it a lot. Yeah.
And what do you like about doing weddings?
I think I see marriage and relationships as a type of yoga. So doing weddings, I get to kind of be instrumental in that and kind of be the person that officially makes it official. And I see, and I always like to talk about the couples and their relationship. And I don't really talk about yoga of marriage in my weddings, but
So there's no downward dog?
No. That's the, like the yoga of, how do I describe that? So like there's the physical yoga and then there's the personal, spiritual yoga practice, So I see marriage and relationships as a spiritual path.
Absolutely. And do you ever see couples that you just don't see that happening?
Yes. But not very often. I kind of pre-screen. I'm looking. I'm actually a little particular about who I work with.
And who's your ideal? Like, what's your profile for your ideal?
My ideal client? Well, somebody who sees the ceremony as something that's really important. It's either one of the most important or the most important elements. That's my ideal. And then couples who want something a little different, but not really way out there. They just want to step a little bit outside of tradition.
So give me an example of that.
I had this one couple. They were so cute. They were a Jewish couple. And they didn't want the traditional Jewish ceremony, but they did want Jewish elements. And they also wanted to have a ritual that was created just for them. So that was really fun. So we had a separate meeting and we talked about all the different things we could do. And together we came up with this ritual. It was really cute. They collected rocks wherever they went. And we incorporated the rocks into their ceremony and a separate ritual. So it was still kind of a traditional elements from the Jewish faith, but it was a different format. I believe that there are many paths to truth. All are valid and worthy of respect. And I think you have to find. I think that's part of any person's spiritual journey. You have to find your own truth. And if that's in Christianity, or if it's in Hinduism, or if it's for me, I kind of find the truth in multiple faiths. It's part of the fun. It's part of the journey. Find your own truth.
And of all the religious rituals that you know for weddings, what's your favorite? What stands out?
Oh, the Hindu faiths. Hindu's my favorite. And then if I get to, and of course if I get to do some kind of interfaith, blend it with another faith, that's probably my most favorite. If I get to do an interfaith ceremony and blend the commonalities and then also, you know, celebrate the differences.
Now, religion is a very personal thing.
Yeah.
And it's also a very provocative thing.
Yeah.
So have you had pushback from maybe more conservative relatives or mothers or
yeah, that
aunties?
gets tough. It's kind of, I feel very, I've had couples, and it breaks my heart too. I've had couples who might tell me, maybe a particular one couple, the groom, his dad wasn't going to be there because he wasn't having a Catholic mass wedding. So yeah, I know. It's
and he went forward with.
Yeah, he still went ahead, and I still did their ceremony.
Father stuck by his.
Yeah, his father didn't come. Yeah.
Yeah. That's sad.
So, yeah.
I think Jesus would have come.
Jesus was a rebel. Is in.
Can you hold that up so we can see that? We're talking about crochet.
Oops.
This lovely crochet. Bring it up a little bit more. Okay, so tell us about your crochet.
Oh yeah, so you know,
Cherries.
buy a really expensive bag,
Uh-huh.
and the handles get ruined. You know, and you know, I've got this really nice bag, and I don't want to ruin the handles, so I'm like, there's got to be handle cover somewhere. So I googled handle covers, and I found on Etsy a couple designers in Malaysia. They make them in Malaysia. And my criteria, I wanted a custom-made one, so I had to wanted to check see how well their English was. So I chose the one that had the best English. And she's actually from Texas.
Oh, well,
yeah,
there you
and
go.
she married somebody. I can't remember what country she's in, but it's in Indonesia somewhere. And her husband's from that area, so she moved there, and I guess this is her business now. So yeah, so she made a custom made for me for my bag, navy blue. Yeah.
That's
So
cute.
yeah, and so the handles of my bag are protected.
That's so smart, because that's the first thing that wears out of any
It
bag.
is. I know.
The handles.
And then what are you gonna do? You got this nice bag and crappy handles.
I've had that happen so many times.
Yeah.
Good life hack.
Yeah.
So, have you ever done any weddings where you've had religions, like maybe a Muslim marrying a Jew, or that there's political friction?
No. The most friction I get would be, again, my Jewish couple. They were like, we don't want the story about Jewish tragedy. They didn't want to really bring that into their wedding. They wanted to make it very joyous and happy. So, but no, I haven't really. Not. I mean, there's an informal study done that in interfaith couples. Their marriages tend to last a little longer, or they tend to be a little more stronger, because they going into the marriage, they're already aware of their differences. They're already aware that there's a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. So going into the marriage, they're kind of already prepared. They've already developed the skills to kind of.
I wonder if that carries over to interracial couples as well.
Yeah, different cultures. They're already aware that there's differences, and they're already learning how to balance those differences.
And be respectful of the other person.
Yeah.
Where they come from. That's interesting. So what is it that you love the most about doing weddings?
Love the most about doing weddings. I think it's being in the moment, delivering the ceremony. It's very. I mean, when I'm delivering a ceremony, I'm in the moment. I'm really, really trying to be in the moment and just be fully present for that couple, fully present for their guests. And then when I'm fully present, it's amazing. It's just like everyone's also fully present, and everyone's also feeling the love. So I think it's kind of a Zen practice. It's kind of a mindfulness practice when I'm delivering a ceremony. So
and
that's fun.
Are you sensitive to the energy?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm paying attention. I'm closely paying attention to the energy. I'm watching. I've got all my
And how do you feel after that?
I feel great. I always feel great. I go home. It's it's so romantic. Weddings are so romantic. I come home to my husband. It's like he's so happy. It's like, my wife has the best job. She comes home and she's happy from work. And I'm always just like, oh, I love you.
Do you ever cry?
Oh yeah. Yeah, when I incorporate something for blended families where they already have children, and I incorporate something to bring it to celebrate the children, like maybe like one couple, they wanted me to say something very personal and special about the son, and everybody was crying, including me. Oh, it was one of my favorite weddings.
Now you're gonna make me cry.
Yeah.
You're telling me.
Yeah, so whenever I incorporate kids, I always start bawling. I start crying. Yeah, I'm always like trying to fight it back.
Well, shaping the the foundations of their life, and that's something that they'll remember forever. And that's important. It's touching an adult's one thing, but a human being who's just forming who they are.
That's a good point.
Is it's valuable.
Yeah, and especially when it's a blended family. I mean, it's not just two people getting together. They're now the children are very closely impacted by that marriage.
And they don't have a choice.
Yeah, that's a good point too. They don't really. They kind of like, So it's kind of really important to make them help them feel part of that wedding, part of the ceremony as well, or part of that union. Yeah.
And have you noticed an uptick in marriages since the political changes that we've had? No.
It's actually kind of when the Marriage Equality Act was passed. There was a kind of an uptick in same sex. Yeah. But now I'm kind of seeing it plateau out now.
Leveled out. I had the pleasure. My first same-sex couple that got married, they had their own ceremony privately, but it wasn't recognized by a government institution. So they got married on their 25th anniversary.
Wow. Those ones make me cry too.
And the father.
When they've been together for so many years and they finally can get married. Oh, yeah.
And one of the men, his father was in his 90s and was wheeled in there. There was so much love in that room. It was amazing. Wow. It was really special to be a part of it. So, in terms of like you were talking about the yoga and the mindfulness and people being couples together, what do you think is important to have that connection
with your partner?
Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of things. I really just have to use me and my husband's relationship. I can't speak in any other authority beyond that. I think it's mutual respect, and just gotta let the other person. And I'm still learning this. You gotta let the other person be who they are. I mean, my husband does things I hate, but I realize that that's just who he is, and he's expressing himself. And I just gotta let him do that, and likewise, I want him to do the same for me. And I think that's what makes marriage what gives the yoga to marriage is that you're creating this safe environment for each individual to explore who they are, but you've got the safety of that unconditional love or that support. So it's kind of like a little child whose parent is watching them explore, but the parent's always there. So you kind of like that to your partner, let that partner explore what they need to explore, but still support them and be there for them. So, when we know we're loved and unconditionally loved, we're a little braver.
Yeah, somebody has your back.
Yeah.
How long have you been married?
Let's see, we got married in 2008, but we've been together since '99. I would love telling people we were friends for 7 years. Yeah, friends for 7 years, dated for 3, engaged for 5, and where did we go? We got married in 2008. Oh wow, 9 years. We're going on 9 years.
Time flies.
Time flies.
Do you notice a difference in your relationship after you got married than before you got married?
I started noticing a difference in me even just a couple days before my wedding. I started feeling different. And sometimes I hear people say that, particularly women, they might start to feel a little like something's different. So yeah, I felt the difference I don't know, did you start to feel a little different or?
I mean, my journey is different. I had a relationship that went on for a long time, and then I finally listened to what all my people who love me were telling me that it was not going to progress. And so I broke it off, and that was very hard for me. And then I made a promise to myself as a human that I wouldn't pursue any relationships with anybody who wasn't interested in a committed relationship. and that's sort of the path that I took.
Yeah. It's amazing what happens when you draw the line in the sand.
It's scary.
Yeah.
You know, my father advised me, you know, to draw that line in the sand. You know, my husband early on, maybe 3 dates in, I said, I'm not asking if you're the one or anything like that, but I just want to tell you, I want to get married and I want to have children, and if that's not something you want to do with a person, tell me now. And my heart was racing because we're taught as women not to say that.
Yeah.
Don't tell a guy you want to get married.
Yeah. Don't outwardly
pretend
express
like
your
you're,
needs.
This is in the Sex and the City years. You know,
Yeah.
pretend like you're this cosmopolitan woman, and
Yeah.
don't express your needs, your biological human needs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Now, how long have you been married or together?
I got married the same time as you did.
Oh, okay.
So it was November 2008. 2007. I can't remember now. We met and got married a year and a day after our first date.
Okay.
And it happened very quickly, and I was a little older, and then I decided not to be as careful as I would be with my planning choices, biological planning choices, and suddenly got pregnant. And so I was 7 months pregnant when we got married, and our daughter was born. We got married in November, and she was born in January. So it all happened fast.
Nice. Well, it's amazing what happens when you say, it's like, okay, this is it, and it's like everything just falls into
You
place.
set the intentions.
Yeah, exactly. Set
And
the
you don't
intention.
compromise yourself or other people's choices.
Yeah.
And now we have 2 children, and I can't remember what year I got married.
But I think the hard part is knowing what you want, separating from what you want from what you think you should have or you're supposed to have. That I was, kind of like, I think, like we talk about success, I look at other people's success and I think, oh, I should be like that. I have to bring myself back and go, okay, what's my definition of success? What works for me? And, in anything, whether it's relationships or whether it's really, business or just life.
And what is your definition of success?
Success, knowing who I am. Knowing who I am. And that's a lifelong journey.
Do you find it gets easier as you get older?
Yeah. I think because as I get older, it's easier for me to discern what society's telling me and what I know is me.
Yeah, I don't envy people in their 20s.
I know, right? I had such
they have
different
nice skin.
values. Yes, and they're thinner. More energy.
That going for them, but
Yeah.
other than that, it's a journey.
Yeah, it's a journey.
And I've had people tell me, oh, you'll love your 30s when I was in my 20s, and I was like, oh, they're just saying that because they're not young anymore. And then you'll love your 40s when I'm in my 30s, and I'm like, they're just saying that because they're not young anymore. And I've had people tell me that they love their 50s and their 60s.
Yeah, I hear that too. Yeah.
So that's exciting to look forward to.
Yeah. See, when I was in my 20s, early 30s, I went to a friend's 40th birthday party. I'll never forget this. I love telling this story. So I said to him, I can't wait till I'm 40. I won't make as many stupid mistakes. And he says, oh, you'll still make stupid mistakes. You just won't care as much. It's so true. And now that I'm in my 50s, I even care less. It's like, okay, shit's gonna happen.
It is. It happens all the time. So have you seen that, since we'll circle back to politics because it's in everybody's head right now. Have you seen people seeking out more spirituality or, wanting to be more mindful or being more thoughtful about things?
Yeah, I'm seeing more people wanting to be mindful. And there was this trend for meditate. Well, it's still going, this trend to meditate. And meditation is really, to truly meditate is really hard. And, true meditation is when your thoughts are you don't have any thoughts. Your mind just, you sit completely blank, which is, it's hard to do, especially when you're in the city.
Yes.
So I see more and more people just, okay, well, it's just mindfulness, which is kind of like a precursor to true meditation. So I see more and more people, including myself, doing more mindfulness exercises.
And so if somebody wanted to seek out methodologies for being mindful, where would they look?
There's so many different methodologies. Buddhism has a great, look into Buddhism. They kind of like, a big part of their faith practice is mindfulness. But you could just be something like, a really common mindfulness practice is when you sit down to eat, just no distractions. Just sit down and pay attention to, pick up the food, put it in your mouth, chew it, you're chewing it, feel the sensation, and what does it taste like? Just be, and then, take up the next thing, be aware of what you're hearing, smelling, tasting, and just be in that moment. So it's a nice, simple mindfulness practice that everybody has to eat, so.
True, everybody has to eat. That's really interesting. So can you share with us one of your favorite childhood memories?
Oh, that's a good question. One of my favorite childhood memories. Oh, I love to play outside.
Well, you grew up in a great place.
Yeah, there was lots to do outside. I loved to play caravan. I had my little red wagon, and I'd load it up with all kinds of play dishes, play pots and pans, and I'd take it take it around the block to the other side of the block, and I'd pretend like I was unpacking and then setting up camp, and then I'd load it up again and go around the block.
So you were a little gypsy.
Yeah, a little gypsy. I'm a gypsy at heart.
What's your nationality?
Well, I'm multiracial. Fourth generation, probably fifth generation. Yeah, I don't really identify with any one ethnicity. I really just identify as being multiracial.
That's really. So, if you wanted to give anybody advice who is, seeking to do this, to be a minister, and being an officiant for weddings, what would you say to them?
The hardest part I've found about being a minister is finding your calling. What do you want to get out of being a minister? And I think when you can answer that question, your goals, your mission, what you want to do becomes much clearer. So I would start with asking that question: what do you want to get out of being a minister? What do you want to get out of being a wedding officiant? Yeah, and it's
So dogs or cats?
Dr. Cats?
Dogs or cats?
Dr. Cats? Oh, well, I have two cats, two very fluffy cats. And I think cats.
Cats.
Yeah, I think cats. Although I want a little dog so I can carry it wherever I go. One of those little chihuahuas, so I have a companion.
Yeah, cats wouldn't be down with that.
No, my cats don't. My male cat doesn't even want to be picked up, much less carried around. Yeah.
So anything else that you'd like to share with us?
Well, how about I'd like to learn more about you.
Yeah, we can talk more about me
off camera.
Off camera.
Okay.
But thank you so much. And where can we find you?
You can find me on the web at Engle-Heart.com.
Okay, Engle-Heart.
Yes.
Is that a real name or?
Engle is my last name.
Okay.
E like Echo, N like November, G-L-E, and then I put the hyphen because I didn't want people to think Engle-Heart is my last name, so I put Engle. But then I realized people started thinking that it was a married name, so Engle-Heart. I'm like, oh, that kind of backfired. So.
And it's Mary Rose, not Mary.
Yes, it's Mary Rose. Yeah, yes. Mary Rose with also a hyphen. Mary hyphen Rose.
That's a lot of dashes and hyphens.
A lot of hyphens. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing with us.
Thank you.